I was just there on my own watching the Mononoke, right? And I recorded my notes in Word and sent them to myself, right? As like an email attachment. I go to open the email attachment on the old computer. Word has expired. I no longer have access to Office or any of the Microsoft range of products. I don't remember how I had access before, if it was like part of my school or...
Oh, yeah.
It's so long ago that I have no idea. But anyway, Word, like, refused to open it several times. And now I have it open in a Google Chrome window. But what the fuck? Like, various programs are just shutting down.
Oh my gosh. While you told me that, a shoe just fell off the rack above me and almost hit me.
Man, that's the ghost of laptops past.
Yeah, wow.
Right there. Oh, it is bleak times out here. However, I am coming to you with a rosy nose and a full heart. And
oh, that's good.
Yeah, I've got a...
Ready to talk about the struggles of technology and nature in a different way.
Yeah, very true.
And if your head is stolen with dark forebodings too, I'll see you on the dark side of the Mononoke. Welcome to Pink Floyd, the podcast where we watch every film ever made to see if it syncs up with Pink Floyd's 1973 magnum opus, The Dark Side of the Moon. My name is Gareth Blackler, and I'm leading you into a little beautiful lake. And who's that shining on the island? It's my co-host, James Barron.
Hello, it's me, animal god James Barron, spirit of the forest, here to record a little pod with my friend.
Aww.
My human friend, Gareth. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm chilling on my island, and I'm hanging out. I'm smiling away. I really don't have any thoughts or feelings, but I think that means I'm all right. Yeah. Princess Mononoke.
Oh yes.
I had no lead in or anything, but that's what we watched. That's the film that I chose. What did you think?
Yes.
Gareth.
I have seen this film twice before.
Yeah?
And I realized both times were in deep Studio Ghibli dives. Trying to watch them all, and it's usually I'll put this one off.
Yeah.
Because I know it's very bleak. And then, to be honest, I have just realized both times this was the last one I watched in those runs of Studio Ghibli. Because then I'm just weirdly feeling weird and not in the mood afterwards.
Yeah, I think his films really run the gamut of the Hayao Miyazaki films really run the gamut of cripplingly sad and so joyful and beautiful at the same time. So there's the fun pomp and circumstance of a Howl's Moving Castle and a kind of Spirited Away, I guess not really.
No, Totoro for sure.
Totoro for sure, yeah. Ponyo.
Yeah.
Much happier films. But then you also get stuff like this, and Porco Rosso is kind of rough. And there's some... He knows how to toy with your emotions. Yeah, in a great way. But yeah, definitely. So you've done several dives into the Ghibli verse, the Ghibli realm, and your favorites were. We should cover off what our favorites of the film. We're not going to do the thing where we rank every one of them. I'm certain that we're not.
No, that would just make everyone mad, including ourselves.
But if you had to pick a favorite, could you do that?
I will probably still make people mad. I think Spirited Away's probably got to be the one.
I don't think anyone's mad at that.
Yeah, but I really like Howl's Moving Castle.
Yeah, dude.
That was my first one, and I love it so much, even though the ending is just they ran out of time and had to quickly end it.
Oh, the ending's kind of great, though.
Yeah.
Spoilers, yeah. Mine is also Howl's Moving Castle. That's my favorite too. So don't feel
very
bad.
happy.
We're in good company. Yeah, it's just the most charming one. There's so many cool little ideas in there, and you don't have the like, in comparison to Spirited Away, where the parents turning into pigs scene like ruined me. That really upset me the first time I watched it.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But yeah, like, so you don't. It's more of a fun romp. It's about like an encroaching war, but still,
yeah.
You know, as most Miyazaki films are, but that's all right.
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah, hates war, loves planes.
Yeah.
That's kind of his...
Not sure how he feels about pigs.
Yeah, has some thoughts on pigs. Explores pigs. Much like our boys Pink Floyd explore pigs. I feel like they've actually got a lot of similar interests. You know?
Yeah, planes, pigs, encroaching war.
Yeah, they hate war.
Cat buses.
Yeah. It all fits, right? You know? Like, are there going to be more similarities when we cover this film off? Who's to say?
Ooh,
we'll find out.
Who's to say?
But yeah, I'm glad that we're both Howl's Moving Castle heads. I'm happy about that.
Do you have any other favorites? Like, do you have any... Because I really like The Cat Returns.
Oh, yo, that's a hot take.
Yeah,
I feel like that's not many people's favorite, yeah.
That's the one that got, I think, both my big Ghibli dives started with The Cat Returns and have ended with Mononoke.
Yeah, Mononoke is probably my second favorite. I think it's such a like complete world, and it's so beautiful throughout. And yeah, it just like explores like, I don't know, all the character motivations are really simple, but they make sense. And it's just a sweet story about like diametrically opposed groups, you know? It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It is like, I feel like we're going to cover a lot of similarities to our wet boys' favorite movie, Avatar.
The wettest film.
Yeah.
Avatar, world's wettest film. I'm ready for the next Avatar to just be all underwater, by the way.
Oh, it's gotta be.
Yeah, it has to be.
Right? That photo of them floating in those beads?
Yeah.
It's gotta mean there's water.
Gotta be.
Each bead a camera.
Gotta bead. Oh, God. Each bead...
It ends with...
Each bead with a tiny little James Cameron in it.
Oh, yes. Do you know why he's such a good director?
Why?
His real name's James Camera.
Oh, no. He turned himself into the camera. That's his secret. That's his secret, Cap. All right. Shall we talk about Princess Mononoke and how it synced up?
Yeah.
Should we do it?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. All right. Oh, for sure.
All right.
Yeah. Heartbeats, opening titles, classic shit, Ghibli times. Yeah, there's like, this film starts with like some misty mountains and just a bit of like lore about gods and spirits and stuff. This is exactly like my kind of thing. Just like opening up with like ancient lore is exactly where I want to be. You notoriously like hate in fantasy stories where you get like a map and then like ancient history, and then the second to third chapter is your like first main character chapter. So
yeah, and then there's always a scene where they go to a tavern and someone in the innkeeper tells them a legend, and then I have read one. I'm pretty sure you directed it for me. Directed it.
I directed that.
You recommended this book for me, and I might be misremembering it, but I'm pretty sure. That one about the ginger wizard that isn't Ron Weasley.
Yeah, it's the name of the wind.
Thank you. He goes into a tavern and someone tells him a legend, and then inside that legend is a second legend. And the whole thing is told as a framing device for a different legend.
Yeah.
And I was just like, mate, there's the third framing device that I'm in the real world reading this. I don't need this.
I'm looking between 3 separate frames right now. I can barely see the painting within. Yeah. I think that's a reasonable take, but yeah, that's like exactly my kind of shit. So I love that obfuscation of like, oh, this will become relevant later. So yeah. But yeah.
I also can't complain about those layers because we're producing media that discusses media through the lens of a third piece of media.
Exactly, right? Like, I've tricked you into creating something that you hate.
No!
But I love.
Every episode starts with a map. You've got to just translate the beeps of the theme song into dots. You see the map of Pink Floyd.
Yeah, if you look very closely at our podcast art that we have every episode, and you join all those together, it'll create a map with subtle gradient changes. Once we get to episode, I don't know, 1,000, it'll be a treasure map. Yeah. So look forward to that, listeners, because Gareth apparently won't. Yeah. So we got like trees falling and like horrible nightmare worms coiling all over the place, and they're like falling off things. We don't really know what's going on at this point, and then we get the title card, which I really like. It's just like here's like some horrific imagery, just like it's like kind of setting the tone of the film, where it's like the destruction of nature coming in, or like corruption of nature, I think. And yeah, we get our main character here, our friend Ashitaka, who's riding a deer creature.
My boy.
Called Yakul.
Yes, I love the Yakul.
Dude, I love any piece of media that has a Yakul in it. Like, just any kind of like... any story where there's like a guy who really looks after his horse. Never-ending Story is another really big one for this.
Tangled.
Yeah, exactly. Anywhere where the horse is just like another character, or the mount is another character, I love it. But yeah, he's out and about like doing some scouting stuff for his small village, and there's he comes across some girls, and they're like, oh, there's no animals, so we're gonna head back to the village. It's a bad sign. And so he goes to this like watchtower and looks out and sees some like weird stuff shifting around in the forest. And aims his bow at it, but it's these horrible nightmarish black worms that are like covering a beast. It's like this thing is like a shadow creature with glowing eyes that's just made of writhing worms, and it's so like this movie starts with that, and you're like, and you're like, oh man, okay. This is definitely not Ponyo. Like,
Especially this follows Totoro. Like, this is, people are like, oh sweet, Totoro, loved it. Let's see what's next from my friends.
I've brought my 7 and 8-year-old along to see Princess Mononoke, and it starts with this like nightmare creature. A demon god is what the old man says it is, which I really love. It's good terminology. And so these worms like coil away, and we see that there's this big pig inside of it, like a huge boar. And we hear the boys in the Floyd at the end of Breathe now are saying race towards an early grave, and we get into On the Run as this creature is on the run towards the village and is coming in. And it's sort of like an undead kind of creature here. It's like post-death that it's been animated by this corruption. It's awful. The tower falls down, and Ashitaka's mount like runs off, and Ashitaka's like desperately trying to get this thing, but the old man warns him that if he touches it, it'll curse him, and it like turns to attack the girls that we saw before, and Ashitaka like shoots it in the eye, and it's like furiously like coursing out. There's this horrible like black goo everywhere. He just like looses some more arrows into it and like stops it. But the worms pour out and like wrap around his arm, and they get him. So he's now officially cursed. It's like really messed up. He's like pours some water on his... Oh no. So he goes back to the village and they pour water on his arm. But it's like corroding and boiling his flesh away. This like horrific scar of this thing is awful. But yeah, it's like
what's not awful is how beautiful this big worm boar chase was with On the Run playing.
Yeah, it really works. Yeah, like, because we had the whole chase sequence when he's fighting it is like taking place over On the Run, and that is fantastic to see. And
I'm almost willing to, like, we have already discovered through our research that Pink Floyd recorded On the Run by holding microphones up to the chemicals in their brains.
Yes.
I'm almost willing to offer a counter legend, a legend within that legend.
Oh.
That as they did that, they got covered by CGI worms, and the CGI worms are the ones playing the synthesizers.
That makes sense to me. They were slowly corrupted
logical.
by evil worms.
Yeah.
Over the course of the song, and only through a long and perilous journey were they able to continue on and record the rest of the album.
Yeah.
That just tracks. It makes total sense. If you read the book, if you read the manga of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, you'd understand.
I want there to be Pink Floyd manga so badly. I and every listener are quickly Googling.
There must be, surely. A lot of prism-based magic. I'd love it. While you're Googling, I'm going to continue on because there's a lot more to cover. The Oracle, comes out and bows to this dead god, paying deference.
Just fan art of
just fan art. Oh well, yeah, that's all good. Yeah, I look forward to you linking me it at some point after the show. So yeah, the Oracle's bowing and paying deference to this dead god, and that happens just before the crash sound On the Run. It doesn't really sync up, but that's all right. And the boar god speaks just as it's dying. It says, "You shall know my hatred and grief," which is it's like dark lyrics that are happening over just the echoing crash sound and On the Run. It's Jesus. And then it starts rapidly decomposing to just a skeleton. It's metal as hell, this intro.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? I love it. All the clocks go off now as we go up to the Oracle's hut, and there's not really, again, that isn't really a sync, but that's where we are. And everyone's talking about Ashitaka's fate here. They're doing a reading of his future with a bunch of bones and rocks and stuff, and finding out what happens. Basically, this beast has come from the west, is what they find out through this. And Ashitaka's arm is so cursed that it's guaranteed that he'll die. He is going to die, and it will seep into his bones, is what the Oracle says. Which is goddamn, bleak.
Yeah.
Bleak times.
Again, we're just starting the movie.
Yeah, this is not even 10 minutes in. Yeah, all the guys in the village are really upset that he can't change his fate. And then, the Oracle's oh yeah, there was this metal ball inside the boar's body that corrupted him from within, and hands it over to Ashitaka to investigate it. And yeah, she's well, you're gonna die, but you could face your curse and figure out what happened, how you got cursed, determine the cause of the spreading evil, is how she puts it. And yeah, so he's at least got a quest. It's a futile quest, but because he's definitely gonna die. But it's at least he could prevent further misfortune. But yeah. So yeah, this is we get Time's verse coming in, and he cuts his top knot off and leaves. He's off I go. And his sister comes and gives him a little jeweled dagger, which is a cool little keepsake.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And then he just leaves on Yakul, his cool deer mount. It's awesome. And we just get over Time's verse and chorus and solo, etc. we're just seeing like beautiful Ghibli landscapes, like these rolling hills and forests and stuff. It looks amazing.
Yeah. I paused this film and then I was confused whose laptop I was looking at, because I was like, that's not my desktop background. That's someone else's beautiful desktop background. And
like,
no,
take any of these frames from this, and yeah, you can make a stunning desktop background, right?
Yeah.
Like, just from this sequence. Maybe not when, like, people's arms and heads and shit get blown off later on. But still. Yeah, it's really stunning. And yeah, he's heading over to, like, a pillar of smoke that he's spotted down there. He sees some, like, samurai fighting. And these guys are just sort of attacking like a village, these samurai. Don't know what's going on here. They're like slicing people down with big like naginata, I think they're called. Like the big like swords on the end of poles. I think they're called naginata. But yeah, Ashitaka is a good guy, so he like goes in to like protect these innocent people. He's getting amongst, and he's using his bow and arrow, which is his weapon of choice, but his corrupted arm sort of like warps and wriggles with like the worm corruption inside, and it gives him like incredible strength. And so when he fires this arrow off, it takes a guy's like arm clean off, and another guy's head just like gets decapitated completely. It's wild. The thing of note,
so wild
in this, Miyazaki uses very restrained. He doesn't like do a massive spurt of blood or anything. These things just sort of like pop off, which is like I think pretty accurate to what it would be like if someone like got their arm cut off. Like it would like gush blood, but like the PSI of blood is not very high inside the body. It's not very like high pressure. It would sort of just drip out. So I don't think it would be like rushing out in a like sort of Tarantino-esque spurt.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I feel like it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
But
at least you can like not worry about cleaning up after someone shoots your arms off. You know? You can worry about the big stuff.
Well, you almost definitely will. Like you'll bleed out 100%, but it will take like a long time. Like much longer than well, I don't know how long it would take actually, but it wouldn't like gush out all immediately and you'd just be dead, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, you could survive losing an arm, definitely.
The other thing about this scene is they put this in the trailer to really make sure people knew not to bring their 6 and 8-year-old.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah, it's like, guys, this one deals with some violence, some messed up stuff, okay?
Yeah.
Just make sure. There's actually, like, this is his, like, probably his most violent film, other than, like, The Wind Rises, maybe. Like, it's very intense. Like, a lot of battles and explosions and stuff. Like, he's not really known for that kind of thing. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, probably the highest amount of action in a Miyazaki film.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, he's warded off these samurai and so saved these people. We cut to a market square as we go into Great Gig, and there's a little dude here eating some noodles. This little guy this is Billy Bob Thornton, yeah? This is the guy voiced by him.
Yeah. English dub. We've got Bebob, as people love to call him. Bebo.com.
Bebo, that's him. But yeah, his name is Jiko in the film, this guy. And we'll learn more about him as we go on. But Ashitaka is also here trying to get some food for his journey. He's trying to pay for some rice with a piece of pure gold. And this little dude steps in being like, oh, like, they aren't going to accept his like piece of gold because it's not money or coins or whatever. And they were like, wow, this is probably worth like 3 times the amount of rice he's asking for. And then everyone's like, whoa, and rushes in and tries to like nab it. But anyway, he sort of like allows Ashitaka to get away with the rice, but and they leave together. And he's like, you shouldn't go around like flashing your money. And yeah, they just sort of hang out for a bit, and then these dudes come up to try and rob them, and they race away. This little guy Jiko is so fast. He's he's got fast little legs, and he's wearing like the little sandals with the piece of wood in the middle. They're like balancing sandals that are like traditional Japanese shoes or something. And yeah, he's bloody quick on his feet for someone wearing those.
Heck yeah.
He runs as fast as the deer, as Yakul. So that's pretty wild. But anyway, they like hang out in a little cave together and have a chat about the situation and how he got cursed and all that. He tells the story. And the Jiko says that the world is a curse. The whole world is a curse. And I'm like, that is such a mood, my guy.
Yeah, that is some Pink Floyd lyrics.
Yeah, damn. And yeah, Ashitaka's like really upset about getting into the fight and killing those guys. But Jiko's like, oh, it's all right. We all die someday. And those guys were being assholes. They were like attacking innocent people. So don't worry about it. And yeah, he gives us a bit more lore about Eastern warriors who ride deer. He's like suspecting that Ashitaka is one of those people. He doesn't know what the metal ball is. And he's talking about, tells the story about a forest god, a deity, a deer god who's out far to the west. And he's basically just telling a story so that he can eat more of Ashitaka's rice that he paid for. I think he's just hanging out and eating all his food. But yeah, Ashitaka leaves in the morning before the Jiko wakes up. But Jiko's like, oh yes, I knew he'd like escape or run away in the morning, so it's all good. These guys are like kind of bros, but just brief traveling companions.
We make these episodes extra long so we can eat all of your rice, listeners.
Oh, please.
So keep an eye out.
Oh my god, I would destroy some rice right now. It'd be amazing. I would just want to eat just plain rice, like a huge bowl of it, any day.
Oh, yes. That was essentially my lunch today.
Nice. Hell yeah.
The rice ratio was a bit off, but I was not complaining.
Yeah. Rice is good, turns out.
Yeah, man.
It's awesome. It doesn't take much to make it a full meal. But yeah, we get into money now as we see some new folks who are like traveling up a mountain with like oxen and stuff. They've got a bunch of all kinds of things strapped to these oxen. I said it correctly the first time and then I mucked it up. I don't know why. Don't know why I changed it.
Lost ox confidence.
Yeah, ox confidence. And then these wolves come in to attack, and there's a girl riding on the back of one of the wolves, and we're like, what is going on here? And they pull out these like hand cannons, like little firework musket things, to fight them off. And the wolves are dodging all these explosions. It's like another action scene already. It's wild. But these are just like the distraction wolves. They're two little wolves, but they seem pretty big. But and that there's a girl riding them. But they're like looking out for another wolf who comes in and is the size like a head taller than a horse. It's huge. This wolf. It's like a big mother wolf. Who is it turns out this is the wolf god. It's got two tails. It's like fighting all these guys and like tearing them apart, but it's warded back with like a flamethrower and knocked off the cliff. And you're like, oh shit, I love that wolf. I saw it for like maybe 30 seconds, but now it is gone. But the people who are there are like, we definitely didn't kill that wolf. That wolf will be back. And I'm like, oh good, thanks guys. I'm so glad. But yeah, they're like move out and keep going with their supplies, etc. Meanwhile, Ashitaka's still on his journey, and he spots some like dead dudes and supplies like floating down the river, and he's like, oh shit, there's a guy in there who's alive. And so he like swims in and tries to save him. And as he's doing this, he spots the wolves from earlier who are like coming in to check on the mother wolf, who's or like father wolf. I don't know. I couldn't hear the voice acting.
interestingly voiced by a female actress in the English dub and a male actor in the Japanese version.
There you go.
But referred to as a wolf goddess.
Okay.
And it's to do with wolves, no matter what, have a masculine energy.
True. Okay, yeah. Because they're like hunters. Yeah. Fair enough. But they're like coming in to like check on the mother wolf, and the girl hops off and like sucks some blood out of the wolf's wound and spits it aside. This is the like the poster shot effectively of Princess Mononoke. Because she turns around and spots Ashitaka, and they see each other from across the river and just sort of like scope each other out. She just like, they just sort of stare at each other, and then she's just like, leave. To go. And then, they carry off an ox, and it's like, okay. Ashi's rescued like 2 guys here. And has got one of them on the back of the one that's like awake on the back of of the deer, and he's carrying another one on his shoulders. And then we see a little Kodama, a little like clicky spirit guy. These guys are awesome. Kind of terrifying, but kind of cute. They like make this little like rattling clicky sound, and they're little forest spirits. They look like tiny little children with weird faces. They're cute but scary.
Like regular children.
Yeah, absolutely. And then like more and more are like appearing all around the deer and the traveling party here, and it's freaking out this guy who can't walk. And they like just continue on, and these spirits are like following along and running ahead. And then the forest gets like more and more like magical looking, I would say, like more lush and green. And they just are walking up to this like huge tree. All the little Kodama are hanging out in the tree and looking around. And then between the trees, we see like a sort of gateway to the spirit realm open up. There's like a rush of color between the 2 trees. And there's like, it's wild. We see some deer and stuff through there. Ashitaka sees like a footprint in the water with like 3 toes, like a really weird footprint. And in the distance, we see these deer coming along, and then one walks along, and it's got like way too many antlers. You're like, what? And it looks directly at Ashitaka, and right then the wind starts like whipping around. And it's like, oh shit, it's the magical moment. And as that happens, his arm, like that's been cursed, reacts and starts like rippling and convulsing, sort of in rage, I think, at the situation. And he like shoves it into the water to calm it, because for some reason water calms it briefly, but they did that earlier. And as he does this, the opening to the spirit realm kind of fades away. And so they're like hanging out in the water for a bit, and then they continue on. And it seems like after this encounter, the guy who had a broken arm is cured, and like is totally fine. And the guy that Ashitaka is carrying on his back seems like way lighter, and or maybe Ashitaka's just feeling stronger. It's hard to say. But anyway, they've been invigorated by this magic encounter, or the water that they drank from here. I don't know. It's cool.
Yeah.
Good vibes.
And it's all beautiful with a bit of Pink Floyd's hit single Us and Them playing over it. Like, some of my favourite vibe into Us and Them, I think, is watching the deer god.
Yeah.
Just kicking it.
Cruising in the distance. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So now we come upon the little iron town. What is this place officially called?
I believe it's Irontown.
Yeah. Lady Eboshi's Ironworks, or
yes.
Just Irontown is good enough for me. But yeah, this seems to be like a a big hub of industry, and this is where these guys are from. They were part of the raiding party who got attacked by wolves earlier. It turns out, and yeah, they get welcomed back. The guy with the broken arm, his name was Koruko, I think. Whose job it is to like just drive oxen up the mountain. That's his whole deal. He's like an ox herder, and. Yeah, his wife comes down and like scolds him for breaking his leg and just being generally useless. And yeah, she's great. She's like plucky and spunky. His wife.
Voiced by friend of the show, Jada, in the English dub, Jada Pickett Smith.
Hell yeah, friend of the show.
And that she was the best part of Magic Mike too.
Absolutely, definitely.
Yeah.
She was fantastic.
Queens.
My queens. She's got her own queens here as well.
Yeah, she so does, yeah.
It's very good.
Give Jada Pickett some queens and you've got a good film. Well, give Jada Pickett some queens and you've got a film we'll talk about.
That's true. That's accurate. And yeah, there's another guy here who's like the captain of the guard kind of guy. I can't remember his name, but he's here, like, very suspicious of this outsider who's brought these soldiers or these people back for seemingly no reason. They sort of left them for dead after the attack. Anyway, so the wife is like being real nasty to the guard, scolds him for being suspicious, and then she like thanks Ashitaka for bringing home her husband safely. We see Lady Eboshi makes an appearance in the distance. I guess she's like the key antagonist. I don't really know. Like, she's got her own motivations.
Yeah.
I mean, she's sort of the villain, but sort of not, right? Like, she does some villainous things.
That's the beauty of this film, yeah.
But
it's like, she's wrong, but she's right.
Yeah, her reasons are good, really. And that she wants to expand in her town and provide a better life for her people, kind of, is like the key behind what she's doing here. But the means by which she does this are nefarious, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, I'm inclined to like her.
Yeah, this movie is the equivalent of when like a big issue comes up when you're talking with your parents.
Yeah.
You love your parents and you don't just agree with them, and sometimes they raise really good points and like make it complicated.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I guess, yeah, we've got to think about the small businesses, but Mom.
Yeah, definitely.
Your mum's also got taken in a whole colony of lepers and using them to run a town. So you got to respect that.
Yeah, you got to respect that. That's definitely a good thing. Like, she's caring for the sick and wounded, right? Like,
right? Yeah, you can't argue with that.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's really interesting. But yeah, the like core conflict is like of the film is like nature versus like human expansion or like industrialization, sort of.
Yeah.
And like who should take precedence in that situation, you know? Like, it's got to be kind of a balance of both, I think, is the lesson of the film. But yeah, it's interesting. It's exploring that issue, and it doesn't really provide a clear answer.
Right. Yeah.
It's definitely sweet. Anyway, but yeah, Lady Eboshi represents one side of this, and here she is. She's badass. We get Ashitaka's been like accepted to chill in the village for a bit, and they're gonna have a chat later. And we see how busy everyone is. They work through the bloody night in Irontown here. There's like bellows and like big furnaces and all kinds of stuff. The men are having like their allotments of rice, and all the women are gathered around and looking inside. They aren't allowed in, but they're looking into the men's like eating area, and like all obsessed with Ashitaka because he's a new person in the town. And yeah, he's like, oh, can I come and like see where you guys work later on? And they're like, hell yeah, of course you can, dude. Which is very good.
Yeah.
And the men are like, don't mind those women, they're nosy. And Ashitaka's like, well, a good town has happy women. And that's just a great maxim.
Aw.
Like, that's just a great thing to say.
It's taking happy wife, happy life one step further.
Absolutely. It's like benefits the whole town. It's amazing. But yeah, the men disagree. They're like, no, the women's presence spoil the iron that we make.
Weirdos.
The like weird superstition that they have, which is, it's big like sailor energy, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're like, but the one exception here is that they bloody love Lady Eboshi, their leader, who isn't afraid of gods or monsters. And they say the boar god of the forest stood in their way of getting sand that they used for making the iron. And so they tore down the trees, and Lady Eboshi killed the god. They came with their fire and guns, and they burned the forest to the ground. And they drove the boar god out. And so we find out that that's Ashitaka puts it together immediately. That like the boar god was the monster that attacked him and why he's cursed. So effectively, it's Lady Eboshi's fault that he's cursed to have this horrible death waiting for him. But yeah, anyway, so he's like, okay. He says that boar must have died with its heart full of hate, which is like, damn, dude.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Anyway, he's going to go take it up with Lady Eboshi, who he has an invite from earlier. And goes to she's checking the latest iron production. We see he just straight up explains the situation immediately. He holds out his cursed arm and holds out the little iron ball as well. And he's like, what the fuck? What happened, Eboshi? What, explain this? And she's just sort of brushes him off and asks him, is more curious about who he is and where he's come from. Just trying to find out where his town is. And Ashitaka won't give that information over because he's worried about Eboshi expanding or coming and claiming his village.
Yeah.
Pretty scary. But anyway, they sort of move on from this, and she's like, all right, let's continue this conversation elsewhere. And they go through the streets, and we see the ladies at work pushing their feet on the big bellows in the ground, a huge furnace for making iron. There's I think it's 8 either side of this huge bellows. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, it's huge industrious developments here in Irontown. Good stuff. But Lady Eboshi is taking us to her little private garden, where, as you said before, she's got these lepers, these guys covered in bandages. They're very sick people who are working on guns and ammunition for her. They're her inventors, basically. And she's making these weapons to kill the samurai who have been plaguing the land and attacking random people and take over, basically. She's guns are stronger than swords, and so she's making all these, and no one else has them because she's got iron production, she's got gunpowder production, and so she's got a monopoly on this, and she's ready to take over.
She would win so quickly at a game of Settlers of Catan.
Hell yeah. You could, one gun trades for, 18 sheep or something, I think.
Yeah.
It's pretty insane. You get in the longest road immediately. But Ashitaka, accuses her of breeding hatred with her guns, and she admits to, shooting the boar god, basically.
Yeah.
And as she said that, we get the ad-lib, I can't think of anything to say at the end of Brain Damage. And I'm like, whoa, that's cool.
Yeah.
She just straight up admits to it. And it's oh, well, there's nothing more to say, I guess. Damn. And his Ashitaka's corrupted arm, because it represents hatred and conflict and stuff. It reaches for his sword instinctively to attack Lady Eboshi, and he holds it back with his other arm. I think this is just such a cool metaphor and like visual as well, like the battle between his right and left sides, like between war and peace, and like that conflict of humanity, and like, and also just in general, and like in between his thinking about the situation. Like, he probably really wants to kill Lady Eboshi for her crimes here, for all the damage she caused, and for cursing him. But like, he is a peaceful man. He was raised like to bring peace and be kind and not murder people. You know, like it's really awesome that like it's literally like he's got a right and left half that want to do different things. I think that's so cool. And yeah, we also get like one of the little leper guys like cries out like, "Don't harm her. She like cares for us and gave us purpose when no one else would." It's like, oh my God, it's so complicated. This whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
Luckily, this is stopped by Lady Eboshi like shooting a gun out into the night. There's like, we look out into the night, and we see that, like, now that the forest has been cleared, we see all these little monsters and things roaming around outside with glowing red eyes, like, trying to reclaim the mountain, apparently. Because they don't have a home, and they're out there, like, just combing the place, trying to push them back in the night and under the cover of night. I think it's really spooky. Eboshi like elaborates about her plan. She really wants to like take over and use the world's resources to benefit her people. And she talks about this person called Sun, who stands to oppose her. And she was a child who was stolen by the wolf god, by the animal spirits, and lives with the wolf god out in the forest. That's who we saw earlier riding the wolf. Son. Ashtag has heard all this, and he's like, "All right, I'm out of here. I'm not down with this whole plan." He's just
too much going on here.
Yeah, he's like, I'm leaving. Screw this place.
Yeah.
I'm done here. I delivered your guy. I'm getting out. You're not going to help me get rid of my curse, so whatever. So he's like, well, I'm going to go and see the ladies now, because he said he'd do that, and he like wants to help them out. And so he just like jumps on the bellows with the rest of them, and they're like, oh my God, I love this guy. These are the queens out here. They're great. Apparently they work for 4 days straight. Oh my God. That's a lot of bellows pushing. That's a lot of jumping up and down. Do you reckon you could do that for 4 days straight, Gareth?
Jump up and down? Nah. I don't even know. I don't think I could do... It depends how much bounce back is in the bellows.
Yeah.
Maybe then I could be like bedoing higher up again.
Well, you have the assistance of like 15 other friends like helping you out doing the same exact thing. But like, man, it's still hard.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I'm going to call it. I can do it. I don't think anyone's actually going to challenge me on it. I've just realized.
Definitely yes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally. I'll do 6 days.
It turns out like later on, it's a week from now, it's the TikTok bellows challenge where you work the bellows with your feet for like 800 consecutive TikToks.
We got stuck watching, so TikTok does live videos. There's a live video of there's like 8 dudes on a swinging bridge, and they're just standing there, and you have no idea how they're staying there, and all the comments are like, nah, fake, they're not on a bridge, nah, fake people, fake bridge. But like, no context, no one's even gone through and explained like, here's how that happened. We just watched it for like 10 minutes, like, maybe at 1 a.m. on a Sunday. So, actually, now I'm scared the bellows challenge will come true. So,
I'm looking forward to it. If you want to start the trend, listeners, definitely tag us on TikTok. I don't think we're not on TikTok, but but someone will tell us about it.
Yeah.
Someone will send us an email about a TikTok. That's the most boomer thing ever. I love it.
Or deliver a TikTok on a USB stick.
Yeah, that's the only media that I'll accept.
Yeah.
I get all my TikToks hand delivered on USBs.
Yeah.
USB 3.
Tucked into a little envelope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like your fish and chip money back in primary school.
Yeah, or like a movie virus.
Yeah.
So good. Anyway, we gotta cut here to the attack on the town.
Yeah.
San makes an assault. She's coming in to try and kill Eboshi to like stop her. Yeah, she's like one person trying to come in and get them, and she does this insane move where she like flings herself up the wall. Like this, I don't know how tall this wall would be. It looks really huge. It's like a whole rock island and then like 15-foot wall above that. But the powerful wolf like throws her up there. And yeah, she's just like jumping across rooftops and like slicing and fighting Ashitaka, who's like chasing after her. Because he's like attempting to stop this assassination attempt on Eboshi again, because he's like a peaceful guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the whole town is like mobilizing, grabbing weapons and guns and stuff, trying to stop this. It's crazy. Yeah. And as that happens, we get raced towards an early grave again at the end of Breathe. Rolling in again.
So we're on double racing towards early graves with this movie.
Just doubling down on that theme for sure.
Yeah. Going extra fast towards 2 graves.
Yeah. Yeah, Eboshi like calls out to San, who's just sort of standing there now, and says that the men of the village have a score to settle because some of them were claimed by the wolves.
Yeah.
And so they're coming in. And yeah, they all aim their guns and shoot her. And she just sort of stands there waiting to get killed. But jumps in and manages to run all the way up to Eboshi, and has like a little sword battle here against her. Eboshi, her fighting style is like long sword and knife, which is so sick. I love that combination. Yeah. Like she's got like a little parrying dagger and then like a samurai sword or like katana. It's awesome. And yeah, they're just like duking it out. And she's just got like this tiny little dagger, San does, like just trying to stab at her. It's awesome. It's a really cool little fight. And they're ringed by like armed dudes. So like they're just letting Eboshi do her battle here as the leader. It's very cool.
Oh yeah.
Meanwhile, Ashitaka's like approaching the scene and his curse is like rippling with demonic energy. His like is flying off of his arm. And everyone's like, oh shit, we should never let this stranger in here.
Yeah.
And yeah, like he gets in between this clashing of blades and puts his sword into the fray. And then, yeah, uses his, like, demon magic to, like, knock both ladies out. Like, his super strength, like, comes in. Every time he uses this, like, extra power, his scar, like, grows a little bit, which I think is a really cool detail as well.
Whoa, love it. It's, like, so fantasy. So, it's the kind of stuff, it's the kind of stuff that gets me picking up your fantasy book and then putting it back down when I see a map.
Yeah.
This kind of business.
It's it's awesome. It reminds me a lot of Shadow of the Colossus. Have you ever played that game or know anything about that?
No. Was that the one that was across 2 discs for the PS2?
Probably, yeah. In that game you're like a guy who is trying to save the life of his dead girlfriend, I don't know. A dead love of yours. And there's this, like, you've traveled to this land and there's this evil god who's like, okay, I'll save her life. I'll bring her back to life, but you've got to kill these 16 giant creatures out here. Ooh. And every time you kill one of them, your character like falls to the ground and like horrible black smoke like pours out of his mouth. It's messed up, and every time you do it, like more smoke comes out of you.
Whoa!
And you can tell there's like something is not right with this deal, but yeah, it gives me very similar energy to Shadow of the Colossus in that way. Sweet game, by the way, if you haven't played it, it's so good. Anyway. So he's just like carrying these. He hands Eboshi over to the rest of the crew, who are gathered around, and is going to leave with San. And the guardsman guy is not going to let this happen, so he fires an arrow into. Or is it, he fires a gun? I don't know. No, it must be an arrow. He fires like an arrow. No, he shoots him with a gun. Sorry.
Yeah,
he does.
He definitely gets shot with a gun.
Yeah, but he just keeps walking, I guess like powered by this demonic curse. It's awesome. And like he walks everyone's like, whoa, we shot him, but he didn't die? Okay. And they all are sort of like awestruck, letting him walk around. He goes up to the gates, like bleeding out, and the guardsmen are like, you can't get out, we're not letting you out, no one can open this gate anyway, it takes like 10 men to haul it open, and he forces it open with one hand. It's so cool. He grips with his 2 feet on the ground, and we can see the like scar growing on his body, and he like pushes the gate open. It's rad. He also like
a demon arm, folks.
Yeah, for real. It sounds like the benefits are maybe worth the like crippling blood curse.
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, yeah, the wolves come up to like grab San, and he like yells at them. He's like, "Stop! She'll be safe." It's like, damn, Ashitaka. He's like controlling the situation. And yeah, he like puts San on the back of the deer. And they head off. He's like, they go off on Yakul. It's awesome. And the wolves are here. But he only lasts a short time. Like they get like a couple of miles away from the Iron Town, and he like passes out from blood loss on the back. And San like jumps off and like checks on him, and she's like very furious about like, why did you save me? Why did you stop me from killing Eboshi? She's got all these questions basically. And Ashitaka takes this moment to go like, you're beautiful, girl. Because he's like dying, I think, at this moment. So he's like, oh well, shoot my shot, I guess. She doesn't know how to handle that because she's a wolf girl. Who's been raised by a spirit god. And then all these like evil apes come in and start tossing rocks at them. They got like glowing red eyes out in the night, and they're like, leave the boy with us, we'll eat him and we'll gain his strength. And I'm like, holy shit, apes, okay.
I love that these apes kind of don't get to do much in the overall film. They're just kind of there to let you know there's a whole other mess going on. These apes are hungry for boys' power.
They're fucking scary, these apes. Yeah, they got their own things going on. I think it's like these are maybe the like dead creatures of the forest that was destroyed. Like not just the boars who managed to escape. I think these are like the dark spirits of all the animals that were killed. That's my take anyway.
I like that.
But yeah, they're like they also hate Eboshi and want to like drive the humans out for what they've done. Anyway, there's sort of a debate between the wolf god and these apes being like, no, we're not going to hand him over. Like we need to save his life because he saved San's life, who is the wolf god's daughter, adopted. And yeah, also the deer, they're like, oh, the deer god, they're like, oh, we'll go to the deer god and we'll convince the deer god to fight the humans. And the wolf god's like, nah, that's dumb. The deer god's not going to do that. You're never going to convince that guy. He's got like no thoughts in his big deer head. And we get so anyway, they convince the apes to go away, and they continue on to the forest that we saw before with all the Kodama spirits around. And Yakul is like led into the water with Ashitaka on his back, and he's like very good. This is again very never-ending story as he's like up to his neck in water. Just swimming along, and he's carted to like the central island with like a little half-dead tree in the middle. And she like takes the little like saddle gelding thing. I don't know what it's called. The little bridle, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, bridle.
Off of Yakul and says like, go free. And then Yakul's like, hell no, that's Ashitaka. He's my friend. I'm just going to watch. All the Kodama have like gathered around to watch this happen. And they're all looking up at the moon from like a big old tree, which I enjoyed. And then, we see out in the night this like huge spirit walking around, this like massive creature. The deer god.
A big man made of the inside of a lava lamp?
Yeah, definitely. It's like, it's like an ethereal glowing creature. It looks awesome. It's coming in. This is the deer god in its nighttime form, making its pilgrimage to the island. So we see now, we immediately cut from this awesome scene to bloody Chico again. Who's in the woods wearing a little beer pelt. He's got a little like beer outfit on. I want an action figure of beer pelt Chico. Like, he's a cute and cuddly boy. But voiced by Billy Bob.
Imagine if you got it, but instead it's actually just like a realistic Billy Bob. Like someone took him in Armageddon and put him in a little beer for you.
Oh, wow. I mean, I'd be okay with that, I think.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I would be like, oh, this is definitely a mix-up. I didn't order this, but I'd be like, I'm not going to return it though.
Yeah,
this is great. So we find out that he's like a little spy guy, and he's been sent out here to kill the deer god. And you're like, what the fuck, Chico? Okay. Anyway, as the sun rises. No, definitely not. Yeah, he was pretending to be a priest earlier, but he's super not that. So the sun rises, and as this happens, the deer god changes form into a weird deer. Like, how would you... It's like, it looks like a regular deer. It's got like little dragon feet, and then like a red mask face with deer eyes. But it doesn't look like a deer in most ways. Like, I feel like if you described a deer to an alien, they might draw this. Like, I don't know. It's cool looking, and you're like, oh yeah, you draw this and you'd be like, oh yeah, that's a deer god. So it's really awesome. There's a really cool effect here. Probably my favorite animation in the entire movie. When its feet touch the earth, like plants grow up around its footfalls. And I think that looks spectacular. Like, that looks amazing. I could just watch that forever. I could watch this deer walk around all damn day. It's very good. So a little tree has been planted above Ashitaka's head, and it like breathes the life out of the tree and into Ashitaka, returning him to life. So it can't it takes and gives life. It doesn't like, it's like an exchange. It's not a like, it can't just bring things back to life. There has to be something has to die to return him to life. Anyway, they're like, oh shit, the Ajiko's watching this, and he's like, damn, that's pretty cool. But yeah, they like hiding out, looking for the deer god. And but instead they spot a bunch of boars who are coming in. they're making a pilgrimage from their like mountain to the forest. And there's a big old boar here, a real old boar, who's like the surrogate leader after the boar god has died. The oldest boar, I guess. Who we find out later is called Okoto.
Yes, and voiced in the English dub by our friend Keith Davidson from The Thing.
Oh, sweet. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, he spots Jiko out in the woods and like lets out a bellow, basically. And they're like, oh shit, and they like jump away. Jiko does his like again proving how like spry and sprightly he is, like jumping from rock to rock, escaping. Very impressive. And yeah, Ashitaka has like weird dreams as he's coming back to life, sees the deer in the distance that he saw before, and then yeah, he wakes up on the riverbank with Yakul, who's just looking over him, has not run away even though it was set free.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's got like no gunshot wound at all. He's been completely healed. It's amazing. However, his scar has not healed. It's progressed even further and now like covers his hand and arm completely almost. Very upsetting.
Yeah.
And yeah, San reappears and like is hanging out, and they sort of help. She'll be around to help him recover. He's still very weak, and she like literally like baby birds some food to him.
Yes.
Which, if you don't know what that is, like chews it up and then like spits it into his mouth, which is super gross. She also, I think this is like a bat as well that she's doing this to, like a bat's wing or something.
I was like, where did she get jerky? But yeah, that's a bat wing.
Yeah, a bat's wing is the jerky of the forest. That's a fact. But yeah, this happens
you can take
for
that
like
to the bank.
This happens for like quite a while as we're just listening to Money. And I'm like, this baby birding must be super important for it to take up like nearly a full minute like of this film. But anyway, yeah.
So they can fit in any future syncs. They just have to stretch out the baby birding.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super important. The boars rock up to the forest and they have an argument again with the wolves. Basically, they're like, we're here to kill humans and save the forest, and they're real pissed that there's a human here, or like multiple humans. And yeah, basically, they find out that Ashitaka was brought back to life by the deer god, and they think that's like the most like sacrilegious, apocryphal thing ever. Like,
yeah,
it's awful because like, why would the deer god side with the humans? Even though like their god was killed by the humans, makes no sense. And yeah, we get into us and them as they're like having this crazy argument. And yeah, like we also find out that the wolf god has also been shot by one of the guns and has the iron inside of him that will poison and corrupt him, just like the boar god was.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're having this argument, and Ashitaka, like, props to him. He owns up to killing the boar god and explains, like, what happened and that he came to this land to try and cure his curse and all this stuff. And Okoto comes out, like, the big boar leader guy comes out, and he's like, right, I'm going to sort this out. He puts his big schnoz up to Ashitaka and gives him a big old sniff. Sniff that cursed arm. And yeah, and after that, he's like, yep, you're right. That's like, he believes him, and they're on side. He's like, yeah, that story makes sense. Thank you for like, putting the god out of his misery and all this stuff. But then he's like, yeah, he's like, you better leave though, because you are super not welcome in this forest as a human.
Yeah.
Like, if I see you again, I will kill you, is what he says, which is awesome. And yeah, the boars are pretty set on war with the humans out of revenge here. They're like, fuck those guys. And yeah, they sort of roll out to do that. And yeah, meanwhile, we get a shot of the deer god who's just sort of in the background, just chilling. and listening to all this with this like weird expression on its face. It's very good. Walking on the surface
deer
of the
god
water.
Reminds me so much of my landlord's cat. And this is a reference that no listener's going to relate to.
Explain.
Unless my landlord listens. But just like, very fluffy, at a distance, knows something I don't know, and at night turns into a huge lava lamp creature.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
There you go. Makes sense.
Anyway,
That's
back
awesome.
to the show.
Cats are like the deer god in general as well. Yeah. They've got that ethereal spirit energy about them. Yeah.
And that's why A Cat Returns is the Ghibli masterpiece.
There we go. Deleted scene where we see the cat god. Yeah. Anyway, we see a battle between Eboshi's forces and the samurai. They sort of just get absolutely wrecked. Jiko's out here, and he's like come from his raid and has a chat with Eboshi. They exchange a little bit of information. He says that he's out here to get the kill the gods. Like he's gonna kill. Like he knows that Eboshi can kill gods because she's done it once, and is like sort her out. And he's like, well, I'm gonna get this deer god's head for the emperor. And it's like, okay, why? And it's because the deer god's head is legend to offer immortality, apparently. And Eboshi's like, immortality, you say? Okay, I'll help you, Chico. Let's team up. Let's sort it out. Let's do that. That sounds like a great plan. I've got guns. You've got dudes. Let's go.
You can leap really high.
Yeah. So yeah, they team up. So she leaves her special forces of. It turns out the women that were working at the camp are actually her like main military force that she leaves behind to protect the town, which I think is like a pretty cool subversion of that trope. I like that a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, they're hanging out to like protect the town while they go after this deer god. We get Ashitaka recovering for a little bit, and a little chat with him and the big wolf god, who's like, "You're cursed, but you could like throw yourself off the cliff and end your suffering at any time, Ashitaka." And Ashi's like, "Actually, I kind of want to live, so not going to do that just yet." And the wolf god's like dreaming of the days that he can go in and kill Eboshi. Basically, he's being held back by San effectively. He says that if the woods die, San will also die because she's part of the forest and she's the wolf god's daughter. He like offers like a challenge to Ashitaka, like sort of testing him, being like, "Can you save her?" Like it's pretty interesting. He says like, "No, I'm not going to fight the humans. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm not going to join your side. I'm not going to join their side. That's not my responsibility as a cursed boy." Okay. He like goes and thanks San for saving his life, and they leave in the night. They like disappear. And he goes down to his little what is it, Yakul, his friend, and gives his jeweled dagger that his sister gave him to give to San. Kind of a weird move, I thought. It's like, this is the one thing you remember your sister with, and you're like, nah, give it to this girl who I really like. But I don't know. It's like...
he's a simple forest boy. He's like, I know two girls.
Yeah.
Sister and girl I like.
Yeah.
So they must both like this dagger.
Yeah, girls like daggers, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's... she's like out with the wolf god looking over a gathered like war party who are out here. And these are Eboshi's forces that have gathered, and they're gonna lure all the boars into a trap, basically. And there's a discussion about like the boars will know it's a trap, but they probably they're still looking for a fight, so they might run in anyway out of pride. And that's like exactly what happens. so San like rolls out with all the boars who are like putting on war paint and stuff. I think this is really cute. They're like painting each other with their noses and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome, but quite bleak. But anyway, but yeah, we go into battle, and we see that, but we don't. We cut away from the battle and see what Ashitaka's up to. He's like traveling in the rain as we get into Breathe, which is real nice.
Yeah.
Very chill. Having this rain.
Breathe is the rain of music.
Oh, yeah. That's a fact. Hell yes. But yeah, he like looks over back at the forest, seeing where he came. I guess he's traveling back to Irontown because that's like the place that he knows. I don't know. He's just going back there. But yeah, he can hear the fighting through the fog. But meanwhile, he sees ahead that the ironworks is also under attack. The samurai from earlier have waited until Eboshi's forces have rolled out to do something, and they're attacking the ironworks. And it's like, oh shit. So Yakul and Ashitaka run in. They do a sweet leap and over a bunch of samurai into the water. And yeah, but the women of the ironworks are holding back the samurai with their firepower. The only man who's still there was the guy that he saved, who's still too weak to fight. Who's still hanging out. Apparently, this guy was added to the movie as just an average man who literally does nothing in the movie. Like, he was intentionally put there to just be an average person that this all affects, basically.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Not enough guy who does nothing in movies.
For real. He's just he's a nice guy who has to deal with the consequences of everyone else doing all kinds of stuff. But yeah, he's chilling here with the ladies. He hands over the Ashitaka his bow and arrow, which he was holding on to, because I think in the fray of the fight from earlier, he didn't have that. He left it back at town. Anyway, so he's been unarmed this whole time. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go tell Lady Eboshi that the town is under attack. And over on the run, he's racing off on Yakul, and they're chasing after him on horses. And there's a sweet horse chase for On the Run.
Yeah. Like, which I don't know if we've had a horse chase. We've had many car chases.
Yeah. It's the equivalent, right? It works.
Ye old fast and ye old furious.
Absolutely. As part of this battle, Yakul takes an arrow in its flank, and I'm very sad about that. And so he jumps off and then faces these 4 samurai, by himself with a bow and arrow, and he takes 3 of them out. It's awesome. He's just super powered, this guy. Wards them off. But Yakul is hurt, and I'm very sad about this. And so he gingerly guides him to where he smells like bodies burning, and it's all these boars. It's the aftermath of the battle between Lady Eboshi and the boars. We see a brief cutaway of them running in and all getting blown up into the air by mines that they've laid. Which is awful. Men and boars alike are dying here. We see a gravedigger guy has laid out corpses in lines. Oh, it's brutal.
Right?
And yeah,
I'm beginning to think Miyazaki doesn't like war.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, so the fighting men of Eboshi are here, and she has gone in the forest with Jiko's men, Jiko's hunters, to find the deer god and kill it, because they've done the boar battle thing, and now they're doing the other part of the deal.
Boar war.
The boar war. The boar war. And yeah, so the men are all arguing about what best to do. Ashitaka's like, the ironworks is under attack. You got to go help them. And so they're like, okay. They ask Ashitaka asks if there was a girl who ran into battle, and the gravedigger guy tells the story about like the massacre that happened. It's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see Eboshi like watching as all these people die. And yeah, one of the wolves of San is like stuck underneath the corpse of a boar and is struggling to get free. And there's like the captain of the guards. Oh, is it the captain guy? I don't know. One of the guards tries to shoot Ashitaka with poison darts to stop him. And then the men are like, no, Ashitaka's our friend. He like came and helped us and told us that the ironworks was under attack. And so they like knock out these guardsmen, which is awesome. And they're like, cool. So they're gonna go back to town and help the battle there. Ashitaka is gonna go with this wolf and try and find the people. Try and find San and Lady Eboshi, etc. Out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We see Jiko and Eboshi like traveling through the forest, and they hear that Okoto, the boar leader, is hurt and is traveling straight to the deer god to be healed at the island, like we saw earlier. So they know exactly where to go. They like follow Okoto and like the boar prince, basically. And yeah, we see that the big wolf god is also really badly wounded. And yeah, it's no good. The apes and all the other animals are like yelling abuse from the tree line, being like, "The forest is fucked. Like we're getting out of here, guys." These apes are assholes. They're like, we're booked for a Gorillaz video. We'll be okay. It's all good.
We've just got to wait 4 years for that video to get made.
To get dropped, yeah. Yeah, so Okoto is like he's like really badly wounded and is like starting to get corrupted by the bullets that he's been riddled with like inside.
Yeah.
And so these like the black worms are starting to come out of him. And the hunters gather around wearing the pelts of his warriors, his boar friends, and because he's like dying and is corrupted, he can't tell that they aren't his friends, and so he thinks they've been like resurrected and are like coming to help him get to the deer god, and so he like runs, like starts like barreling towards where the deer god is. The island.
This is heartbreaking. He just thinks they're his stinky boys.
Yeah, it's awful.
He smells them, and
it's really tragic. We get into Great Gig, we get the like not frightened of dying thing as well. Like he's super frightened of dying, so that's an anti-sync. But yeah, he's desperately struggling to get in. San is here trying to like stop him. And she's like getting surrounded by these fake boars. The corruption spreads out of Okoto and starts turning him into a demon. And Ashitaka is like running in to help, but he's too far away. And Okoto is like fully consumed into a demon, and then attacks San and like devours her basically in his jaw. And it's horrific. This scene is really messed up. Like all these horrible worms just like coiling all over her. It's awful to watch. Ashitaka's caught up to Eboshi, and he's like, "Your men are dying and the ironworks is under attack. What are you doing?" And Eboshi's like, "Lol, I'm out here trying to become immortal." Basically her greed is just going to drive her forward, regardless of the cost of her people. I guess the lesson here. And she's like, Jiko's also like egging her on. It's like,
this is when it starts getting more black and white.
Definitely.
Like, once we kind of see the real side of her.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, you can kill gods. I've seen you do it. Let's do it. Yeah. He's like cheerleading from the sidelines, and Ashitaka's like, well, I guess you're not going to help them. I'll do it myself, and rides off in his wolf. Yeah. Okoto's still like continuing towards the island, and yeah, like San's like calling out from inside the corruption and inside Okoto's mouth, and can't hear Ashitaka's voice anymore. It's awful.
Yeah.
And yeah, the wolves are battling. They're like fighting the fake boars, the men inside the boar costumes, and they start like shooting and attacking the wolves on this like sacred spirit ground. It's awful. But luckily, Ashitaka is like desperately trying to get San, like pulling her free from the mouth, but he like can't get past the corruption and gets thrown free into the water. And yeah, luckily the old deer god comes along, just waltzes in up to the wolf god and and Okoto, who are like locked in combat, and yeah, walks up and like kisses Okoto on the nose, and all the corruption just like sloughs off of it, and he dies like instantly. It's at the same time the wolf god also dies. I don't know what's going on here, but yeah, they both are killed in this moment because they were like fighting each other here, I guess. Yeah, we get into us and them, and because we're going into night, we get the shot of the moon up above, and the deer god is transforming into its nighttime form. It starts turning into its like big giant walkabout form.
As these lovely organ swells of Us and Them are playing,
Yeah.
it's kind of like growing to them. Much like I assume Pink Floyd transform when they play this song.
Yeah, definitely. Ashitaka's like swum with San up to the island because she's dying from this like corruption. Or he's rescued her basically. Oh, she's like, I think she's just passed out actually. But and Eboshi has arrived on the scene, and she's like gets a clean shot on the head of this deer, of the deer god, and shoots it clean off.
Yep.
And out of as it's like mid transformation, there's like this bubble of like black goop just starts erupting out of the top of this head of this deer. It's not like a violent eruption, it's quite slow, but like it starts just like consuming everything, this dark goo, and like coasting across the top of the water and around the island. Meanwhile, Eboshi like throws the head of the immortality giving head to Jiko, who puts it in a like fully iron canister or container, because of course it is. And yeah, because she's got a strong brand. Okay. And yeah, so yeah, all this dark energy is coming around, falling all over the place, and Eboshi is like been hurt, I guess. I don't know how she's dying, but she stands on the island. That's why.
Mate, I'll tell you what happens is suddenly, in a way that I still haven't quite figured out why, a bloody wolf's head flies around and bites her whole arm off.
That's right. Cuts her arm clean off. Boss. So yeah, she's like dying on this island, and the captain of the guard guy is also here. Like, oh shit, Eboshi's dying. And yeah, because like San is desperately trying to because Ashitaka is desperately trying to save Eboshi's life because she's dying. San thinks that he's switched sides basically, and yeah, like she stabs him in the side with her dagger, and then he just like pulls her in for a hug.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh my god, it's metal as hell. It's like an emo music video. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's like everything. Those images of that terrible text that people would put on their Bebo pages.
Definitely.
Like, if you stabbed me for betraying you, for a fake betrayal. I'll just give you a hug. XX just emo things.bebo.com.
Register that Bebo as well in case we can't get
I'm
Pink
going
Floyd.
to. And I'm also going to register Billy Bob Thornton as a username.
Amazing. You have to buy it off us, Billy Bob.
Yeah.
Billy Bob and Bebo? Come on. You gotta do it. So the forest is like being consumed by this corruption. And they're like, well, we've got to get the head back and give it back to the spirit, offer it back to the spirit. It's the only way we can do that. Meanwhile, the big spirit is just walking out over the forest. This like corruption is spread across the sky, and like little tendrily hands are coming down, searching for the head. It's crazy. Like Jico's trying to desperately run away by being chased by like tendrils of darkness, and he's like, "This is fine."
This will be great for the Emperor.
Yeah.
I called the scene in my notes Sludgy Hunt.
Yeah, it's not good.
And then I wrote, any colour you like, as long as the colour is black sludge.
Yeah. So true. Oh my gosh. We go back to the ironworks, and we see there's destruction everywhere, and then like the black corruption is spreading across the mountainside directly towards the town. So that's not good. Ashitaka is like carrying everyone to safety, and like tells them to run to the lake and hide. He's made it back to Irontown on the back of a wolf, I think. They're on the little wolves because the main wolf is dead. He's like, you go hide under the lake. The corruption won't get to you, or like hide in the lake. Ladies, I'm gonna find the head of the spirit god and hand it back, and I'll hopefully stop all this. And they're like, okay. The town gets like consumed by the sludge, and it's corrosive, just like the corruption was on Ashitaka's arm, and so it like sets the town ablaze as well. It's pretty intense. It like burns to the ground. But the people survive because they listened. They ran away. So there's a final confrontation between Ashitaka and San and Jiko and Jiko's mates here. And they're like, no, we're not going to hand over this immortal head. No way. We're going to give it to the Emperor and we'll be heroes. It's almost day. And once it becomes day, probably going to be all right? Like, they have no idea whether or not that's the case. But they're willing to go with that theory. Anyway, Jiko's like clouded by greed, I guess. Anyway, they start battling it out. And in the kerfuffle, the canister containing the head drops and starts rolling down the hill. And they're like, because it's a little round container, which I think is quite cute.
It's so funny and cute, yet so dark because it's holding like God's head in it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And it's just rolling down a hill towards like dark sludge.
Well, Billy Bob Thornton just rolls along with it.
Yeah, that's right. He like gets caught up in it. That's hilarious. I forgot that. But they managed to get it, and they're like surrounded by sludge on like a little rock now. And they're like, well, Jiko, you're not getting the Emperor now. And so they hand it over, and they take the head out. It's like inside it's like full of this like green gooey stuff. It's like green blood or something that's filled up this little container.
It's just pickled itself.
I guess so, yeah. It's pretty weird. The deer god's got a lot going on. And they like hold it up, and as they're like holding each other, because this is like such a big magical feat that they're trying to do, Ashitaka's scar like spreads across his like entire body and onto San as well. Like she's like infected by it, which is pretty wild. But but yeah, it's like the spirit like extends its neck down and it connects, and then like is engulfed with light. It like starts glowing beautifully, and yeah, it's whole again, and all the sludge like dissipates, and yeah, the women of the village are reunited with the men of the village. They meet in the middle of the lake next to Irontown, which is great. They're like stoked to see each other, and yeah, we here at the end of Brain Damage see you on the dark side of the moon as the sun is rising, right as the spirit is whole again, and yeah, it's fantastic.
That's so good.
Yeah, it sort of like falls down and blows all the corruption away, and also all the village is pretty much destroyed by this as well. Like a whole bunch of like debris and stuff flies up into the air, and then we get this like beautiful shot of like everything being covered over with green and plant life, and the whole village is like coated in flowers, and everyone like looks up and around, and the entire valley is just this lush, beautiful, green, amazing thing. It's like the end of Krull, Gareth.
Yeah.
Out here. It's amazing. And yeah, we get the I can't think of anything to say ad lib again here. And I'm like, yeah, I can barely describe it. And yeah, we go into Eclipse as Yakul returns. The little dear friend, he's alive.
The boy.
And he wakes up Ashitaka and San, and they're both alive. And Ashitaka looks at his hand, and he's got like a little bit of a scar there. Like the evil in him is like almost completely dissipated. It's still presumably there to some extent, but like it's been pushed back severely. So that's great. Yeah. San's pretty sure that the deer god has died. But Ashitaka's like, nah, like the deer god is life and death. It's the ebb and flow, man. And I'm like, that's the most Pink Floyd shit ever. I love it. And yeah, they also are gonna live apart from each other. They're like in love with each other, but they're from separate worlds. Like she's going back to the forest. He's gonna like hang out in the town, and rebuild that, because he's a good guy and that's what he does. And yeah, they say farewell to each other. We also see Lady Eboshi is like alive here, and she's like, I've learned my lesson. I'm going to make a good village. I'm not going to make a gun village anymore. We also get a like final shot of Jiko, who's still a dick. He's like, damn it, it didn't work. Like, the Emperor's going to be pissed. He's just shouting.
Him being still a dick while Lady Eboshi learns her lesson and like quickly announces she's changing her mind is like the one thing that stops it being a Hell's Moving Castle kind of ending.
Definitely, yeah.
Like, let's just make it all work out.
Yeah, no, it's still bad. Jiko's still a dick. He'd do it all again, I think. But yeah, over the like silence at the end of playthrough 3, we see the final shot of the film, which is a little spirit, a little clicky spirit guy, a Kodama, who's just one down near the coastline. I think this is a hint that the deer god is still alive, or like that the spirit of the forest is still around. And yeah,
I reckon there's a new spirit regrowing, and along with that, we are hearing the heartbeats of what would be the 4th playthrough, as if the spirit of Pink Floyd is regrowing, man.
Is reborn, yeah. And that's it. That's the final part of the movie. We go into the credits, and what did you think, and how did it sink, Gareth? We did it.
Wow. So, the year was 1997.
Yes.
And they were looking to dub this film into English, and Miramax wanted to make huge cuts to it, like edit it, change a whole bunch, make it probably a little more black and white. And Miyazaki apparently sent the head of Miramax a sword written on it, no cuts. And you know why he did that? Was because he knew they were going to stop this film sinking with Pink Floyd. This was a high sink for me, I think.
Definitely. super impressive. There were lots of things lining up there.
Yeah.
And
we had all the thematic joy that a film like Children of Men or an equally bleak film would give us.
yeah.
But then, we had like the album regrowing with them. We had some great gigs during like a beautiful, like, that's the point in the album where, you know, the forest god helps you grow back, and that's happening in the movie.
Perfect.
Oh.
Perfect. Yeah, the perfect like 3 playthroughs with the like hint of the heartbeats as like as a final note. Oh, that is clean. Very happy with that. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm gonna go real high. I'm feeling like, is this like a 9? Do you reckon?
I reckon this is a 9. I reckon we'll slide it, because no part made me go whoa the same way a little film called Cocoon made me go whoa.
Yeah.
Till it sinks.
True.
But I'll slot it in just below that and just above the criminally overrated by us Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Nah, man, that's the perfect rating. I stand by every rating.
All right, should we slide it in below Boogaloo then?
No, I think it's a 9.
Yeah, no, sweet.
I've already said it's a 9. I stand by that rating as well. I don't care if I'm hypocritical here. I'm not making a mistake. It's fine.
No, nines.
Yeah. There you go. All right. What are we doing next week, Gareth?
Well, as scientists, it's our job to, you know, explore everything. It's like how you'll give 2 people different test drugs than one person a placebo to make sure, like, it's not just a normal effect. So I'm not saying we just don't do anything.
Okay.
And that's our placebo.
We just go about our days.
Yeah. The podcast goes like my other Ghibli sprees, and it just ends.
Yeah, that's it. No mas.
Just for a lack of trying. No. So we've figured out what happens when you take a beloved Japanese property to an American audience and you do not change it at all.
Yeah.
So we've got to find out what happens when you take a beloved Japanese property to an American audience who don't understand it at all and completely make something completely different. And the best way to do that is by watching the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Bob Hoskins. That's all I know.
Okay. I am hyped. I have seen clips of this movie, but I've never seen it before, so I'm very excited.
I'm excited because I know very little really about Mario. So
What?
this may just be the canon version for me.
This will be great. I'm going to teach you so much. It'll be a fun episode.
Yes,
Okay,
please.
cool. Looking forward to that next week. Yeah.
Yes.
Pink Floyd on all the socials. Hit us up if you want. Send us an email. Send us a TikTok. Get at us on Bebo. Check out my friends.
Still waiting.
I don't know how many others like do the thing on LinkedIn, endorse me for podcasting.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I don't know.
Are you on LinkedIn?
I don't think so.
Okay.
If I am, it's not me.
Well, endorse any James Barrons you find for podcasting.
Yeah, they'll appreciate it.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool.
That's it. Anything?
Wow.
Any plugs? I don't know.
None for me, thanks.
Sweet. Hey.
Yourself?
No, just I'd like to plug Neapolitan ice cream. It's delicious.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Non-spawn, but I do like it. Okay.
Well, yeah, I've been Gareth Blackler, the vanilla to your Neapolitan.
I've been James Barron, the sweet, sweet strawberry.
And Pink Floyd have brought the chocolate flavour to your Neapolitan.
Yeah.
And grab a big scoop, and we'll see you on the dark side of the moon.
On the dark side of the moon. Yum.